Hey, kings and queens, welcome to another episode of Elevate with E. It's E here, you Warnie Hughes, CEO of Great Gale, dedicated to rewriting the narrative. And this is a podcast aimed at helping you elevate over the limits life throws at you. So, today's topic is Sight Beyond Sight. Oh my gosh, this is such a great one because sight beyond sight is a common phrase from Thundercats, and sight means the process, power, or function of seeing, and beyond means on or to the farther side. Again, sight means the process or power or function of seeing, and beyond means on or to the farther side. And why today is so important, why today is so special to me is because today is oh my gosh, it's a very special episode. We officially reached episode 50 of Elevate with E podcast. And here's to another 50, 50, 50, hundreds more. I'm so excited and I'm looking forward to more growth and continuing this podcast, this show. It's so amazing. And again, that's why I made today's topic, sight beyond sight. So, recently, my wife and I closed on our first home, which was an incredible milestone. If you've bought a house, you know it's a ton of work. On top of that ton of work, it's a ton of cleaning as well. So, after a long while of cleaning the property, along with my wife and my father-in-law, I sat down with my father-in-law and looked up. The sky was like clear before, but when I sat down, it actually was like gray and overcast. Then I asked him if it was going to rain, and he said, yes, it is. But while we were sitting down and I was thinking, we were talking, a ray of light like pierced the clouds, and in one area it was light for a couple seconds, then it went back to gray. And then it just reminded me, and it's so true, that's when I remembered the fact that the sun is always shining. Again, literally, no matter the storm around you, the sun's always shining. Always. So you don't have to just get caught up in what you're seeing with your physical eyes. The reality is that the sun is above it all. I mean, you realize this when you activate sight beyond sight. And again, that is from Thundercats. If you've ever watched Thundercats, oh my gosh, it's a great show. Oh man, I would definitely recommend you watching it. They have the 80s version and they also have the 2011 version by Studio 4C. And I'll talk about why this is also important later on. But again, yes, Thundercats. That was a famous phrase that was said throughout it. And what that really was tying into was Lionel would literally pick up the Sword of Omens and you would hold it to his head and he would be saying, Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight. It's so that was one of my favorite phrases along with thunder. Thundercats, oh, but like when he would say Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight, that was so cool. Oh my gosh, man, I'm telling you gotta check out Thundercats. Again, that was in the 80s. The 2011 version was amazing too. But why that was so significant is literally every time he said those words, he would like open his eyes and have the sword, and he would like look beyond. Not just look at what was in front of him, he would look beyond the current circumstances to see what was really going on. He saw faraway places, detected hidden enemies, and even found allies that were missing. This is the power of the mind, kings and queens. We have that same ability to a certain degree. No, you don't need the Sword of Omens. See, when you use your mind, when you employ metacognition, you think about what you're thinking about. When you envision, you use your imagination. When you activate perception, you're able to, at least to an extent, envision what could happen. And when you use these tools in unison, when you use them, you're able to perceive a possible future. You're able to look beyond what is to what may be. From this day onwards, take time to employ sight beyond sight. I did. I mean, a few years ago, I told my wife that anime and manga were coming more to the mainstream. Manga has been my style of drawing ever since youth, ever since I first held One Piece, which I've talked about in the podcast before. But I've grown up watching, Dragon Ball Z's, the Naruto's, the Bleach, all of that. But I said it a couple of years ago, it's really going to blow up, and I was right. I was really right. It's really coming to the mainstream. Even illustrations for business. Like when I think about Gary V with Lil V, um, Eric Thomas having "You're Not the Boss of Me," which is basically a comic book talking about the flight assessment and basically tying it into kids and how they can not have bosses but really tap into their purpose. Like it's amazing. Even like Penn June, you can see it on his page, and I believe his name is Alex Lee. I'm not exactly sure, but he was another person I've looked up. John Lee, actually. There we go. His page as well has a lot of like cartoon illustrations because you have to be able to resonate with people. And nothing does that better than art. Like I was just reading yesterday, and they had mentioned that drawing informs you on what you see, but lighting determines mood. And lighting is just another form of art. It's one of the principles and parts of art. So all of this ties into the fact that people are wanting to see more like illustration related things other than just blocks and blocks and blocks of text. I mean, we all got like a bajillion things to do. We've all got things on our calendars, on our schedules, on our itinerary. Reading tons of text may not be something that we have the access to, but having, simple bite-sized content. Oh my gosh, that's great. And that's what manga excels at. I mean, if you even read a manga, when you look at the way how they do the text bubbles, like there's a lot of negative space around the text, so you're not like hit with a ton of information with no, proximity or any space around it. Like as a graphic designer, I do love that about manga, about how they set up their text bubbles. But back to the point. The fact is that people are looking for a change, and that's what cartoons give you. I mean, even the nostalgia, when you look at a cartoon, you're thinking of Saturday morning cartoons, you're thinking of maybe Boondocks, maybe a cartoon or a comic that you've had in your hand, from Asterix all the way up to Avengers, or even Astro Boy or Dororo. There's so many. So that is one of the reasons why I'm seeing like this trend is coming to an all-time high, and it helped me pivot. Originally, I was even trying to do video game, but I switched to making a manga because that was more in my wheelhouse. A lot of the skills that I had with graphic design and illustration, tied directly into manga. So that's another reason why I did it. In addition to just the fact that this is something that I excelled at, it was something that I loved to do, and it was just something that I truly enjoyed. That's why living your purpose and doing what you love is such an important asset. You don't just want to be, doing things for money and you hate it, and then you drive up your stress. Then you need to get more medication and stuff to help you calm down. Doing what you love and living your purpose, it is so important. Chase your purpose, kings and queens. Anyway, let me take a side note out and get back to it. You have to be focused on trends also matter, but also doing what is intrinsically important to you. So again, this helped me pivot when I used Sight Beyond Sight, because I made Afrofuturism manga Bold Saga. Again, I had looked beyond what was currently manga. I looked beyond what was currently, lack of representation, authentic representation when it comes to manga, with black people as well as in comics. Authentic representation meaning that they're not just, like that meme said, either a former U.S. soldier or they have electricity powers. Like they actually have some substance to them. They're actually written authentically. So that's what I was looking forward to, and Black Panther did help along that. That was one of the best examples of Afrofuturism, along with Tuskegee Airs and Black Sands Entertainment. So before actualizing and making Bold Saga, a lot of my content was motivational posts. It was text-based, and I would come on the videos and talk. I used to have this thing called, what was it? It's been so long, man. I don't even remember. Something with E. I think it's Daily. Something along those lines. Yeah, I think that was it. The point is, I used to do that type of motivation. I posted along with my content. Along with, Freestyle Fridays, DFF, Dope Friday, all of that. But the fact is, if you are, what is that phrase? Jack of all trades, you're master of none. So you have to zero in on what you specialize in, because you only have 24 hours in a day, so you can't do everything. So before, it was just motivational texts and some videos and some quotes. It kind of worked, but it didn't really go anywhere. It didn't really resonate with people. As soon as I took all of those virtues, that ethos, throughout all of those motivational posts, and just contextualized it into a story with Bold Saga, oh my gosh. Like, the reality of just connecting with people, it just shot up like that. Man, 500,000%. There's literally now, like, I go to events and, like, parents are there and be like, They're talking to me. Their kids are there. One young king was so excited. He's like, "Wow, you did all this!" They joined the mailing list. They got Bold Saga. Another parent, they got it for their children. Oh my gosh, so many great interactions. Even B minus Studio basically said Bold Saga is a manga self-help book because it took the motivational aspect and tied it into the story. That's why the story resonates so realistically and authentically. So that's why it's so important to pivot, and it's so important to activate sight beyond sight. It allows you to truly understand what's going on and truly make moves that truly resonate with your target audience and help you have a more impactful and meaningful life. I mean, to the extent that manga and anime are so infectious that today, they are literally a part of mainstream hip hop. And yes, nerdcore rappers existed. I understand that. Like just his league. I know about them from Rapzilla. They're literally a dope, super amazing group. But it's gotten to the point that Paul Wall literally has his next album coming out called Paul Wall Hall of Fame Hustler. The album recreates the cover from Akira with the Japanese katakana and the red car replacing Canada's iconic bike. Let me tell you something. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's fire! That's literally fire!" Got Paul Wall with the jacket walking towards his car instead of the bike. I was like, "Yo, that's lit!" Look, man, that's why you gotta watch Akira too. That's another movie I would recommend. The movie is so good. Even Kanye West used it as part of his video for Stronger. The movie video with Daft Punk in it. Oh my gosh. We know Megan Thee Stallion likes anime. And I remember I was in a clubhouse room and MC Jin was there. And he's literally one of my all-time favorite MCs. That guy can just rap. Not mumble. Like he literally can rap. Super dope. Some of you may know him as, I forgot what his character was in Fast and Furious. I think Jimmy. I believe that's what it is. It's been a while since I've rewatched this series, but yeah, man, super amazing. He was talking about how he loves watching Demon Slayer. So this isn't just a trend. This is going to stay, and it's only going to get better. Top that with manga like Demon Slayer outselling the entire American comic book industry. That just shows you why now is the perfect time to get into manga or you make your own. Why? Because literally, you sight beyond sight. Kings and Queens, it's gotten to the point manga is getting so big. Star Wars is making an anime called Star Wars Visions. They're having their own spin-off series of Studio 4C and I think Studio Mappa is working with them as well. It's gone to the point that Cartoon Network is working with major anime companies. They're going to be making their own anime and they're going to be releasing it in America first. Now, Cartoon Network's content has dropped drastically, in my opinion, in years from what it used to be in the 90s to what it is now. So before it gets watered down or major companies take over and then you see a drop in the quality of meaningful content, now is the perfect time to get into manga if you're trying to make one. That's another reason why I actually made a video with the shift that's part of it. The first video part of that is how to make a manga, 5 tips for beginners. You can check that out on YouTube. But again, now is the perfect time to pursue your dreams. Now is the perfect time. Yes, I know it's a crisis. Yes, I know it's a pandemic. Yes, I know there's so many variants and all these other things. But let me tell you something. If you cannot literally create an effective solution that can work for everyone because you are not God, the reality is that you have to focus on what you have control over. Literally, that's why Winston Churchill said, do not waste a crisis. You don't want to waste a crisis. So while people are panicking, now is the time to create. Need I remind you that Disney was created almost 100 years ago, during the times of the Great Depression when everything was breaking down. If you watch Walt Before Mickey, you know what I'm talking about. The best time to create is when everything looks like it's going to hell. That's the best time to create because when things rise, you rise with it. That's the best time. So now is the perfect time. If you're trying to make a manga, now is the perfect time, kings and queens. If you're trying to follow your dreams, whatever your purpose is, your job, career, whatever it is, now is the perfect time to work towards it. Because tomorrow is not promised. Today is the day. You sight beyond sight, kings and queens. So again, the reality is that you have to use this. You have to use this asset, this sight beyond sight. It's so important. Again, not just as a mangaka like me, but when it comes to your job, your career, whatever it is you want to do in life, look beyond what just people say and look at what could be. I mean, I learned Adobe Flash, back when I was in college almost a decade ago. By the time the class ended, they literally told us that what you just learned won't be used because it's going to start being removed from the internet. And now it's 2021, and they just made Flash, it's obsolete when you try and use it on a website nowadays. They won't run anymore. So that's why you have to look beyond what is to what could be. That's why you have to use sight beyond sight. Not just today, but use your mind, use your foresight, and activate it daily. It's so important. Take time out to do it. I'm even trying to do that. Wake up earlier and use it throughout your day. It's so important. So don't just look at the current clouds, the current stress and negativity you see with your own two eyes. I know it's easy to look at what's directly in front of you, what you can literally see with your natural eyes, but look and use your sight beyond sight, because it's very easy to get caught up in stress. Stress is a silent killer. It's so easy to get caught up in worry and everything else. But worry doesn't equal success. Again, worry does not equal success. Solutions do. In fact, in my own life, and this is me just, being 100% transparent. I didn't originally want to share this, but now is the perfect time. In fact, in my own life, I'm literally currently facing this. If you've gone to my page on Instagram at GreatGilCo, or even if you've gone to my YouTube page, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. I've been going through something. So you know that if you've listened to this podcast, I've talked about making Bold Saga, which is an Afrofuturism manga for the culture. I've talked about the fact that I empower young kings and queens, and I talked about it only. I actually have the proof. If you go to the IG page with the highlight reels, you'll be able to see proof of everything that we've been doing since last year up until now. And we even got the story copyrighted in July 2020. However, 5 months later, another company claimed the identical Bold Saga name for a trademark. Literally, that really got me. And the irony of how it happened was I was just thinking about something else and a voice said, just check this. And then there it was. So it's crazy. That's why you have to listen. Sometimes a little voice in your head that gives you suggestions. It can be helpful, depending on what it is, but sometimes it can be helpful when you listen to the right one. So back to the point. The point is that someone else, they said that this is what they're doing, and they just claimed Bold Saga. And not just Bold Saga as a trademark for comics. So as I continue, months later, because I checked it out, the first image that they show of Bold Saga, of what they want to use with Bold Saga, is literally text along with a black monkey. All of this can be seen in the notice of opposition I filed with the USPTO thanks to my lawyer's help, Eric M. Pelton and Associates, PLLC. And no, I'm not just making this up or just talking. We literally have this file. This is literally a case going on right now. So, yes, this literally got me. When it first happened, I was so depressed. I was so stressed when I found out basically end of December into early January 2021. For a few minutes, I literally thought it was all over. I literally felt like I just started this and now this. Now what am I going to do? It's done. And then like a voice came inside me, started off slow and then it got like louder and louder. It was like, just like in the mangas and anime. That's why watching manga and anime is fire. It's like, fight this, literally. But what it also feels like is in manga and anime. I believe they said the same thing in Attack on Titan when I think Eren was on. He's like, Tatakai! You know how them anime people be going off with their voiceovers? They be putting their soul into it. So literally, Tatakai. That's what I had to do. And that's literally, I love that word. It sounds so ill. So cannot wait, because that's going to be the next episode. The name of the next episode of Elevated with E is going to be Tatakai. Tune in next week. You're going to hear it. It's going to be fire. So that's what I've been doing from December till now, In addition to the notice of opposition, you also see a cease and desist letter that we've also filed as well. So again, this is literally what we've been doing from then till now. And yes, it has been stressful. And yes, it has been aggravating. And yes, it's caused me to worry about, like, the Bold Saga. This name and this brand, because the goal of this was to empower people, and then look what's happening. So just so you know, not just the rain doesn't come to just people that are good, it comes to people that are bad too. So the reality is that we all go through something. Even good people are going to have challenges and tests. That's how life works. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do in spite of it? You know? Like MC Jin said, how I react determines how I overcome. It's so easy to just go off on an angry rant and just whine and complain. But at the end of the day, we need solutions. So that's what we've been working on from then till now, fighting with solutions. You know, I've looked beyond the clouds and I can see that the sun is still shining. I've looked beyond all of the pain and the stress and everything. I've seen the truth. Again, the sun is still shining. Beyond the clouds, sight, beyond the clouds, the sun is still there. The sun is still shining above it all, above the pain, above the stress, above the worry, above the anxiety, above the fog. Like when the Bible talks about we look through a glass dimly to really see. Like, that's what it can feel like with life. That's what it can feel like when you look up at the clouds and all you see is gray. But remember, use sight beyond sight. Remember that things happen for a reason. All things work together. 828. That this is just preparing me for increase. And that Bold Saga is a very, very valuable manga and brand. So every day, remember to use sight beyond sight. Which brings me to the power quote of the day. We got two today. So excited. Worry is a spiritual short sight. Its cure is intelligent faith. Paul Brunton. The greatest talents often lie buried out of sight. Plautus. Again, worry is a spiritual short sight. Its cure is intelligent faith. Paul Brunton. The greatest talents often lie buried out of sight. Plautus. And that brings me to the upcoming events. Oh my gosh. Again, talked about it on this podcast before, and I'm letting you know again, if you're new to this podcast, Bold Saga Chapter 1 and 2 are available right now. And what is Bold Saga? Well, Bold Saga is an Afrofuturism manga that's empowering our young kings and queens. I mean, how much longer are our young kings and queens going to have to just sit down and settle for, lackluster representation with black characters in manga as well as in media, as well as in comics? I mean, how much times are they going to have to just sit down and look at stories where they're perceived as characters that are hanged or mocked or have a long nose or lying or connected to minstrelsy, tied in with all types of negative traits and attributes, or they're basically mocked with stereotypes of just rapping everything that they say, like they have no other sense. Literally, you don't just have to just expose them to what's ordinary, expose them to the extraordinary, expose them to Bold Saga. This story is literally empowering our young kings and queens. That's why on the title it literally says, Brave Onwards, Limit Destroyer. If you check the episodes that we've had in the past, we break down how intrinsically important it is to activate all four of these traits and why it's so important. Playing brave in the midst of adversity, moving onwards, identifying limits, and then moving onwards to destroy those limits, overcoming challenges. That's what the story is about. It follows Masego Umnatha and his journey from going from ordinary to extraordinary. He just wants to be the next to Nancy, like his role model, Shaka Zulu. But first he has to overcome tests and trials in a rite of passage that leads to a supernatural encounter where he finds out what it truly means to be bold. And no, it's not a crystal stare. He's failed the same test 4 years in a row publicly. And now it's all or nothing in this chapter 1. And in chapter 2, the story connects and it goes even further because now he's in a race of his life, a race against time to save his loved ones. Will he make it in time? In addition to that, the new friend that he made along the way, Shawnee, she's in the rite of passage that he also took. It's the last fight. Can she win? You have to check out this story. It's an empowering story, an impactful story with authentic representation for our young kings and queens. So they can see characters that have natural hair in manga. See characters that actually have authentic representation in their nose, in their eyes. Women that have jukus, men that have locks. Even when you look at the clothing, even when you look at the martial arts in it, you'll see Nguni stick fighting, Musangwe, even the languages that they speak, Xhosa, Khoi, Zulu, as well as Antiguan dialect. This is not just representation for Africa, it's for the African diaspora as well, because we want to show the majesty of African culture. This is Black Excellence. This is Bold Saga. Check out Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 today on Amazon for the paperback and PayHip for the ebook. Again, Kings and Queens, the shift is here. New videos and courses teaching how to make a manga, how to make a logo, graphic design, entrepreneurship, and much more are on the way. Join our mailing list so you can get a heads up when it drops. Hit the link in bio on Instagram at Great Gil Cole and join our mailing list. I know that I had discussed this before about Thundercats. I just wanted to bring up the fact that Thundercats originally started as an animation, and in 2011 it was redone as an anime with Studio 4C. So that's one of the top anime companies, period. They do fantastic animation. So the reality is that this is here. This is here right now. So this is the perfect time to invest into this genre. It's a very incredible genre. You don't just have to worry about it just being the same slapstick type of comedy, or things that are cyclical with no growth. Anime is about stories and growth. Manga is about stories and growth, and now is the perfect time to get into reading them, as well as if you want to make your own. Now is the perfect time before it becomes oversaturated by major corporations. I mean, Netflix is adapting One Piece. That tells you everything you need to know, and One Piece is currently at chapter 1025, episode 990. So now's the perfect time to get into manga. Now it's the perfect time to get into anime, which brings us to the next point. Let's protect Black legacy. Kings and Queens, as I've mentioned before, I'm the mangaka of Bold Saga. I've been working on this along with my wife since 2018. And Bold Saga is literally about empowering our young kings and queens. It's Afrofuturism manga. Like, I'm not going to claim to be the first, but I will claim to be one of the best Afrofuturism mangaka out there. You're not going to find a story like this that just so authentically portrays Black excellence. You're not. So we literally created this story and released it in July 2020. As a manga, you're not going to find anything like this. It's groundbreaking and it's transformative. So we've done the story since July 2020. We've been continuously putting out content from then till now, and kids and parents love the story. They've been uplifted by it. Someone even said that Bold Saga gives them hope. When you read the story, you'll see why. Very empowering, very impactful. So recently, as I mentioned before, another company, they filed for the identical Bold Saga trademark in comic books, and their first image is a black monkey, along with their plans for the trademark. We are taking steps to protect our brand. We're preparing to file to block their application with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. We need your help in raising funds for legal defense. Please donate today to help us protect Bold Saga. Click the link in bio on Great Gale Cole, the Instagram account. And again, more amazing events are on the horizon. Stay tuned and stay up to date with all things Bold Saga when you follow us at Great Gale Co, GreatGaleco on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Clubhouse, and Fanbase. And thank you for listening. Remember, every day, remember to use sight beyond sight. This is your time. This is your season. It's time to elevate.